We are 2 rounds in since I announced my YouTube plan to win the US Mid-Am, and so far I've put up an 80 and an 84 in a tournament. That's not gonna get it done, but we gotta start somewhere. My current handicap is a 1.4, but I like to say I'm dynamic. I can shoot 70 or 80 on any given day. A handicap is actually a measure of potential. It's not an average. In fact, it throws away your 12 worst scores of your last 20, so those 80s, it's like they don't even count. To prepare for the US Mid-Am, we're backing it up. I'm tips only from now on. That means those pitching wedges into greens are now gonna be 7-irons, and the road just got harder. We have to get better. So we'll use this practice round at Texas Star to do just that. I'm tipping it out, reviewing the round, and extracting 18 tips in 18 holes to help you and me play better golf. Let's get started with tip number 1, show up early. This seems obvious, but I'm getting old. This 40-year-old body doesn't just jump out of the car ready to shoot 67. We need a couple of swings to find the club face, and it's not just full swings. Make sure to hit the putting green. Most amateurs focus on bashing drivers on the driving range and don't even touch putter before a round. Then they'll go 3-putt the first couple holes and wonder why they can't break 80. Even myself, I didn't get to roll any putts before the round, and I leave this first putt well short. No feel for the pace of the greens, unnecessary stress. I make the second one, but the tip remains. Show up early. Tip number 2, do what the hole is asking you to do. Sometimes you're gonna have a hole that doesn't quite fit your eye, like this second hole. It's a short par 4, there's tall trees on the right-hand side of the box, and it wants you to hit a cut. I don't hit cuts, at least not on purpose. So that means I have to aim left to avoid the trees. And if you aim left, you can run out of room. So I also need to lay back. Do what the hole is asking you to do, which in this case is hit a 5-iron and leave a mid-iron in. Instead, I fought the hole. I tried to force a hybrid, knew it was the wrong club, I didn't trust it, didn't commit to it, and I straight chunked it, failing to cover the trees. That's a penalty, a drop, and I'm still a long way from the hole, which means I'm scrambling. Taking my medicine and a quick ticket to Doubletown, all because I didn't do what the hole was asking me to do. Tip number 3, I said it on hole 1, but I'll say it again. Roll putts before the round. We're on the 3rd hole, but I've hit 4 putts total and 1 was a tap in. I have no idea what the green speeds are or how much they break. I'm totally winging it. So on this short par 3, I avoid the sucker pin and hit a great shot to the back edge of the green. It should be a simple 2-putt, right? Wrong. I get the read and the speed wrong. I blast it past the hole and then misread it again coming back, and I turned an easy 3 into a 4. Should have rolled more putts before the round. Tip number 4, back off from distractions. It doesn't matter if it's a mental distraction like a poor swing thought or a physical one like an aggressive mower in the background. If you're ever over a ball and you're not thinking about the target or the goal, you should start over. Go back through your routine. I always get anxious, like backing off is gonna slow the round down or make me a slow player, and then I don't back off, hit a poor shot, have to hit more shots, and end up taking way longer than I would have taken had I just backed off and hit a good one in the first place. In this case, I hit a phenomenal side hill chip and made the putt to save par, but that could have been a lot easier if I would have just backed off. Tip number 5, pick a target that allows you to miss. That sounds counterintuitive, but Ben Hogan once said that he only hit 5 perfect shots in his entire career. We miss the target on almost every swing we make on a golf course, so you want your miss to end up in a good spot. If you're taking on tucked pins or you're trying to get the carry yardage perfects to avoid trouble, then you have a bad target. On the second shot here, I know that there are bunkers short and left of the pin, so I shifted my intended target to be beyond the pin and favoring the right. That way, if I don't hit it perfect, at least I'm not in the bunkers. And I did hit it perfect, or so I thought. It still ended up short. But since I aimed right, I stayed out of the bunkers and I had an easy up and down that I completely messed up because again, I didn't practice putting before the round. By now, you should get the point that skipping the putting green has cost me several strokes through 5 holes. Probably gonna cost me more later in this round, but that's not this tip. Pick a target that allows you to miss. Tip number 6, use tangent to help with blind shots. You are inevitably gonna play a course where you either can't see the landing area or have no idea what to do, and that's where the advantages of a GPS-based AI caddy tremendously help. This hole was a double whammy. I couldn't see the fairway or where to aim off the tee, so I used tangent, which allowed me to pick a target and kept me in play. And then on the approach shot, there's a mound in front of the green. Couldn't see much of the green or the pin despite jumping and trying to find high ground, running all over the place. I had to use tangent to choose a target, and while I still didn't hit it my best, I got it in position to give me a chance to make par, and after a good up and down, I make par. That's hard to do without tangent to help me pick a target. Tip number 7, manage your expectations. Golf is hard. It's one of my favorite things to say. Nothing is guaranteed, especially birdies on par 5s. All you can do is stack up good shots and hope the ball goes into that itty bitty hole quickly. After a stellar drive on this par 5, I have a 3-wood into a well-protected hole. I'm probably biting off more than I can chew here, as the trees guarding the pin are pretty tall, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. Sure enough, I just miss clearing them and my ball ends up in a bunker 40 yards from the hole. This is one of the toughest shots in golf, so at this point, you have to adjust your expectation. A great shot gets on the green. There's no need to be greedy, take a little less loft, and find a way to get a birdie putt. I do a good job here, just barely cover the next bunker, but we have a putt, and again, I have to manage my expectations. A 12-footer is no guarantee. You're going to make this putt less than 40% of the time, and I missed this one. No reason to get frustrated. The hole is small. Manage your expectations. Tip number 8, good golf is a grind. You're going to miss greens, you're going to face adversity. That is an inevitability in golf. So if you're not ready to grind, you're gonna be frustrated. This is a long par 3 with a narrow green and death to the left. As your handicap improves, par 3s tend to be the toughest holes on a course relative to par. They often have a trickier, smaller green, and you tee off from further away than most of your approach shots are gonna be on par 4s. So a little bit of grace is in order. I just missed this green. I hit a spectacular pitch that almost goes in, and then still miss a 4-footer. In fact, I miss it twice. That's the grind. Maintain a good attitude, keep fighting. Good golf is finding a way to grind out a score even when it isn't easy. Tip number 9, find a technique around the greens that you like. This is a hard hole, a weird tree that makes the tee shot awkward, but I hit a great drive down the middle of the fairway that just misses the tree. It leaves us a mid-iron into a narrow elevated green, and I just barely mishit it, but it's enough to come up a foot short and then roll back into a collection area. Here's where our tip comes in. I am not a high flight guy. I don't like the ball in the air. I don't hit flops well. I like de-lofted lower flights, and sometimes when I get in these positions, I try to force it. I hit a shot I'm not comfortable with. I just don't practice it much. And looking back, my practice swing was bad. It was steep, it was chunky, so of course my real shot is also chunky and it comes up short. That's just not a technique I practice, so why am I doing it on the course? I shouldn't bring it to the course until I'm comfortable with it and confident that I can pull it off. I could have just hit a stock pitch onto the green, accepted 20 feet at worst, and moved on. Now we're fighting for bogey. Tip number 10, if you're going to lay up, lay up. The 10th is a par 5, and to be honest, I hit a very poor drive here. I got lucky that it was even in play, but I was probably always going to have to lay up as it's a tricky green over a creek. That being said, now that I'm kind of pinched in on the left and out of position, I'm definitely laying up. Your instinct is gonna be to try to advance it as far as you can. Grab a lot of club and just hit it way up there so you have a short wedge, but too many times I've gotten myself in trouble by trying to advance it further than necessary. So if you're gonna lay up, lay up. What I mean is, don't take on any unnecessary risk. Find a fat spot, give yourself margin, and if that means an extra club into the green, so be it. Mistakes on layups are tough and, for the most part, inexcusable. Here, I take less than even Caddy is suggesting, and I put myself in a solid position. It's still a tough shot with a downslope, and it feels a little bit like the 15th at Augusta, but I hit a good one, and I have a birdie lot. I miss another. I'm getting chances, patience. Good layup, easy par. Which takes us to tip number 11, which is patience. I just mentioned it on 10, but you gotta have patience. You're going to hit good drives and mess them up. You're gonna hit good wedges and miss the putt. You're gonna hit good putts that bump off line. You have to control the controllables and just keep stacking good shots. I hit a good drive here to leave just a wedge in, and to an elevated, difficult green, I stuff a wedge to inside 6 feet. Expectations are jumping. I gotta control them. That was tip 7. Be patient and let it come to you. Birdies will happen when they happen. Put a good stroke on it. That was a good wedge and a bad putt. The putter is making this difficult. Patience. Tip number 12, use provisionals to your advantage. If you hit a bad shot, it might be OB or there's a chance you can't find it. You have a bad taste in your mouth after that awful swing. You have the option to hit a provisional, even if you think or hope you can find it. And you have to declare that you're hitting a provisional, but you'll hit a second ball that would be in play if you can't find or if the first ball is out of bounds. So use that option at the very least to get the bad taste out of your mouth. As long as you don't think the ball is in a hazard, you get to hit another ball, a provisional, for free. And if you find your original, you just pick it up. So you got basically a free practice swing, a free chance to erase the bad taste in your mouth. In this case, I find my first one here and I was able to get the ball in the green, even if it wasn't the greatest of chips. I 2-putt for my bogey, but I feel better after erasing that dead pull with the provisional golf swing. Tip number 13 is get you an AI caddy. You're going to run into situations where even if you think you know what you're doing, adjusting for wind, elevation, and more on a golf course you're not familiar with is tough. I play mostly in Texas and rarely have big elevation changes, so when I run into a hole like this one, where there's a huge drop off, I'm straight guessing in terms of what club to hit. But Tangent has my back. It does the adjustment for me, convinced me to hit my 160-yard club into a 180-yard green, and a shot that I thought was gonna be well short based on my adjustment is actually on the back of the green. Had I hit what I would have picked, which is a 7-iron, I'd be in the tall stuff over the green. Instead, it's an elementary 2-putt for par. So, get you an AI caddy. Tip number 14, rushing never helps. If you're like me, you're a stickler for pace of play and you can be a little paranoid about your own pace of play. I never feel comfortable with the feeling of holding somebody up. So after taking a quick break between holes, a group behind caught us for the first time as I was approaching my chip shot. It caught my attention and I felt the pressure of holding them up since I'm playing from the tips and I've just missed this green. Now, this can be any situation. It can be a tournament, playing with a slow buddy, having hit a few bad shots, or spent too much time searching for a ball. But all of a sudden, you feel rushed. Your pre-shot routine changes, your mind isn't focused, and you hit a poor shot. Now you're taking even longer, and you're even more rushed, and it compounds. That's never good. Instead, acknowledge that you're out of position, refocus on the shot in front of you, go through your normal routine, and hit the best shot you can. A normal speed good shot will always take less time than multiple rush shots. Rushing never helps. Keep your cool. Tip number 15, sometimes good shots get bad results. Golf inherently has randomness. Sometimes that means a bad shot gets a good break, like the time you bladed it off the flagstick and ended up with an easy birdie. And sometimes a good shot gets a bad break. I thread the needle off the tee here to a tight fairway and have just a wedge in. I then hit what I thought was a decent wedge that lands roughly 20 feet from the pin, only to be surprised when that ball rips back off the green. I am not a high spin player. This ball just hits the wrong slope in the wrong way, and a 20-foot putt turns into a 20-yard chip, and a good look at birdie turns into scrambling for par. Sometimes good shots get bad results. Tip number 16, track your stats with Tangent. The human mind tends to be emotional. Miss a short putt on the last green for par, and you'll curse how badly you putted all day, even if the reason you're not making putts is because your ball striking couldn't hit it close. This is one of those rounds where if I wasn't tracking my golf with Tangent, I would probably have left the round cursing my putting, as I'm about to miss another 4-footer for a chance at par. But the mind conveniently forgets that I've only hit 4 greens up to this point. Has my putting been good? No. Has it been worse than typical for me? Yes. Is it my biggest issue? No, not even close. You can't expect to score if you're not hitting greens. Tangent tracks every shot and then recalibrates my feelings with reality. I need to work on ball striking. Track your stats with Tangent. Tip number 17, golf is hard. Not every day is going to be a good day. Embrace the grind. Keep a good attitude, and whatever you do, don't throw in the towel. We are 17 holes in. I've hit some good shots that weren't rewarded. I've missed a ton of makeable putts. It'd be real easy to start feeling down, give up on the round. You can very quickly lose your give a shit. But sticking it out, fighting, and striving to turn things around will pay off. It's a skill. Finding a way to score and not quit is absolutely a skill, and it's one that I need to get better at. Golf is hard. Tip number 18, fight to the finish. This is a game that always finds a way to keep you coming back, but sometimes you have to earn it. I pipe a drive on 18, I'm in good position. A decent 3-wood means a chip and a putt to end the birdieless streak. A good chip here leaves a good opportunity. And despite a day of bumps and bruises, my attitude's good. I'm still sticking it out, and I'm rewarded with a birdie on 18, my first of the day. This game always finds a way to keep you coming back, but I really did have to fight to the finish. Am I stoked with an 80? No. Is it where I want to be? No. But after the differential adjustment I discussed in the intro, that round is equivalent to just 5 over par. It's nowhere near the -5 I need to carve my way down to, but I'm optimistic. Just getting used to these longer tees, and I made some bonehead mistakes. I missed putts that I normally make. There is some low-hanging fruit to get me well on my way. We're not lost, we're building. Next time on The Good Miss.